If you think NIL is ruining college football, well, the situation with Nico Iamaleava is really proving those people right now. So let's discuss everything that has happened and give you my perspective as a Tennessee Vols fan about everything that has gone down to this point. Before we begin, hope you all are having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shoemake, and this is the Shoemake Take. Hope you all are doing well. Let's just go right in and talk about the situation. As you can tell, I don't got a script here. I thought that this would be best going unscripted. So if there's a rant at some point in this video, well, be prepared for it. This is your warning. So let's jump right into the timeline of what happened here with this situation, and then we'll talk about the impact and the aftermath to conclude it. So earlier last week, reports had come out that Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Volunteers football team were in contract negotiations to increase his NIL contract. So when Nico Iamaleava signed with Tennessee or went to Tennessee last year, he had signed a $8 million NIL deal. And currently he had been being paid $2.5 million and wanted a $4 million increase. After the conversations were being had, they were being swirling around, some people were kind of interested and be like, why is a college player trying to negotiate a better deal like he's a professional player? That already kind of sent shockwaves in college football for the wrong reasons, because it felt like if Tennessee and Nico were going to go through this and complete it, it would set a very bad precedent of players actually being able to negotiate more money, which we'll talk about the NIL thing and the more money thing and at the end. But what you need to know is that it sent shockwaves throughout college football, and people were not happy about it at all, including myself as a Vols fan. I was very concerned about this situation. Then Thursday comes and goes, and Nico was not at practice. He didn't show up to practice. Then Friday, he didn't show up to practice. The day before Tennessee was supposed to play their spring game, their spring orange and white game. And now apparently he was holding out of not playing in the spring game, which now the situation is even worse because they were in cahoots with, getting a deal done, right? Giving Nico a raise, and then he was going to come play, and then all of a sudden he's not at practice. And then Saturday before the orange and white game, the spring game, head coach Josh Heupel comes out and says, we are moving on from Nico and wish him the best, but no one's above the power T. That was a quote. And now Nico is done in Tennessee. They are moving on to some of the other quarterbacks that are on their roster. And Nico, all it's done for him, it's gotten worse. All the more information that's come out past this point has just gotten worse and worse on Nico's side of things. On Saturday afternoon, it came out that Dan Lanning the head coach at Oregon, had caught wind that either Nico or his agent, someone on Nico's side in his camp, right, was actively searching around for a better deal, right, going behind Tennessee's back, which already, I'm not sure if you can do that, but it's definitely highly unethical, right? If you sign a contract with another organization, right, this is just in life. If you have a contract with an organization, you don't go behind their back looking for something better. You don't do that. You have a contractual obligation to this company, to this person, right, to the team, whatever. You stick to that and honor by that, unless something gets absolutely so far blown out of control where, okay, the person that you signed a contract for does not deserve you anymore. Right? You're talking about like workplace hostility, toxic work environment, and stuff like that. But Tennessee is not a toxic workplace environment, not at all. But that's not the point. Anyways, so Dan Lanning had caught wind that someone on Nico's camp was searching around, going behind Tennessee's back. He apparently had called Coach Josh Heupel in the athletic department saying, oh, your starting quarterback is shopping around doing this. And to me, after that moment, if that is true, head coach Josh Heupel and the athletic department, the athletic director, they were like, nope, we're not going to, no one's above our program. If someone's going to go behind our back and do that and then not show up to practice and let his teammates down, then we can move on to someone else better that's willing to take the opportunity. And I want to take this opportunity here to praise head coach Josh Heupel for the actions that he's taken. He gave praise, he showed class in the conference, but then ultimately said, no one is above the team, not even himself. No one's above the program. And that's great, because now that sets the precedent that if you're a college football player and you want more money, yeah, you probably shouldn't go negotiating it, because you're going to have to go kick rocks, because it's selfish. It's selfish to ask for more money when you're already getting, you already got a scholarship, you're getting paid. The school's paying you to go to school and get an education, right? You're already getting a bunch of perks as it is. You're making millions in NIL. There's literally no reason to be selfish in asking for more money. You're not a professional. You're not a professional who literally requires you to be on the field to make a living. You're not at that point in your life yet. You have no reason to be doing that. And so Nico is now gone. He's expected to enter the transfer portal here in just a few days or a week. I can't remember when it officially opens. But for Nico, this means that he's probably going to go somewhere out west, right? That's where the most landing spots for him are, because he grew up in California, right? Five-star recruit out of his high school. But for Nico, it's just a terrible situation, because now you burned your bridge with the school that you committed to, and now other schools are fully aware of your actions. And then now people on Nico's direct family, they're saying that it was the agent that did it. Now the agent saying Nico was the one that actually went behind and was shopping around, doing it on his own, right? Kind of going rogue, if you will. So now it's a he said, she said on that side of things. And it potentially will ruin Nico's career, because college programs are looking at that. They see that and they're like, oh, if I'm not paying this guy enough, then he's just going to leave and he's going to walk. And that's an issue in of itself. But because Tennessee had handled the situation properly, I don't think this is going to be a bigger issue. Although a report came out on Monday, you guys are seeing this on Tuesday, the report came out Monday that Nico, along with a bunch of other college football players that were on teams that were in the college football playoffs, apparently threatened to sit out of the game if they didn't get a better NIL deal. Which, if that is true, if that is 100% true, then I hope all their names, I hope all those players' names are exposed, they're revealed, right? And the coaches and athletic directors of the schools where the players are apparently threatening to sit out, I hope all of them get kicked off their teams. Genuinely. I'm not a guy who really sounds hot-headedy or traditionalist, if you will. This is a very traditional, more conservative type of belief on the topic of NIL and making money. But no, if you're going to be selfish and think that you're going to get more money or grass can be greener on the other side, then if you're going to put yourself above the team when you're not even a professional, then you can kick rocks and go somewhere else, right? You're just a college kid that's making millions of dollars. You are in a better situation than 99% of other kids in your situation. Even on your team, there's players on the team in multiple college football programs, in multiple schools, in multiple sports across the country that are not only trying to compete to become a professional at their sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, right? But a lot of those kids are also having to work a job and pay their way through college. And you got someone like this, and then other college football players apparently who are getting paid millions of dollars, mind you, more than 95% of the workforce in America. And they're 18 to 21 years old, making millions of dollars. They're already getting paid to go to school and get an education for free by the school, along with all the other perks when it comes to being in an athletic department, right? Being in college sports, all the dietitians you have access to, the health, strength and conditioning, right? You have access to a whole bunch of perks just because you are good at a sport. So I hope all those players get exposed for if it's true that all these players were threatening to sit out, and I hope they all get sent away from their teams, because we cannot set the precedent that it's okay. It is not okay to leave out, abandon your team, threaten to quit on your team because you want more money when you're already making more money than 99% of people in America, along with the fact that you have teammates and college athletes in a whole bunch and all over the country that are working their tails off between working at a job to pay for college because they can't get a scholarship, and they're trying to be an athlete and trying to make their dreams come true there. It's not fair. It's simply not fair, and it's completely selfish and irresponsible for someone like Nico to be doing something like that. And I'm someone who supported Nico. I'm someone who had Nico's back throughout the entire college football season. Because guess what? He wants to be negotiating to he wants $4 million instead of $2.5 million. Guess what, dude? You were absolutely garbage in the Ohio State game when you made the playoffs. He was garbage. Not to mention, he was not the reason Tennessee won 10 games last year. As a Tennessee Vols fan, no, he was carried by this team. We had a fantastic defense, one of the best scoring defenses in the country, if not the best. And then we had Dylan Sampson, who was one of the best running backs in college football. Nico was not the driving factor in Tennessee's success. And you look at his numbers, they were pretty average. But most Tennessee fans were gushing over Nico, including myself, because every week he would make a play that would absolutely knock your socks off. And that's a fact. He is one of the most talented quarterbacks in college football. There is no doubting that. There's no taking that away from Nico. But simply put, he had no reason. Not only was he selfish, right, and put himself above the team, in a situation where he has no right acting how he was acting, on top of what did he do on the field to deserve a pay raise? What did he do to deserve a pay raise? 1 year starting, he was average, showed some flashes of greatness, garbage in a playoff game when it mattered most. I don't know. He didn't deserve any of it. And to see it all happen, it's sad. It's unfortunate. And on Tennessee's end, they're going to move on with one of their quarterbacks, whether it's George McIntyre or Jake Marklinger. We'll see what happens there. But it's just a very bad day. It's a very bad saga in the NIL era of college football, because it's going to, I don't know if I don't think it's going to set a precedent that players can do it, because of how Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Athletic Department, how they treated it. They definitely did the right thing by letting Nico kick rocks and just send him out. They already taken his jersey off the gift shop. He's already off the roster. Essentially, even though Nico hasn't hit the portal yet, Nico is done in Tennessee. He is gone. He's as good as gone by this point. So I want to praise Tennessee for how they handled the situation. But this is definitely a dark side of NIL. And to conclude, here's my official stance on NIL. I believe 100% that players should get paid for what they do, because college football programs, college programs in general, their athletic departments make millions of dollars a year because of the players. Look at Tennessee, for example. They have probably the best athletic program in the nation. They have a top tier football program. They have the best baseball program for men's. They have elite programs in men's and women's basketball. They have great athletics all across the board. And the players are the reason why their athletic department is so good. They make so much money, right? It is the players. The players deserve a cut of that. I'm not taking that away. No, they deserve to be paid. But at the same time, it should not be from the school. The school should not be paying the players. Because what it is right now with the NIL, it's the wild, wild west. Because the money is coming from the schools. So top tier programs like Ohio State, who spent more money on NIL deals than anybody else, won the national championship. What a big surprise. It sounds like it's pay to win. It's unregulated. And even though, sure, lower end schools can get players to play for them because money talks, right? Is that really what you want for college football? Is that really what's going to bring parity to college football? No. The money should not go to, no, the money that the schools make, sure, would you argue that some of it should go to the players? Sure, we can make an argument that like a certain percentage amount, like a set amount, should go to the players. But the majority of the money that college athletes make should come from external things like sponsorships, brand deals, commercials, right? Stuff that where, okay, you are a popular person at your sport in whatever you do, right? Look at like a Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State, one of the best receivers in college football as a freshman, probably the best receiver in college football as a freshman, mind you. Someone like that, there's so many companies that would want to get a shoe deal with them, a glove deal, right? For example, right? They want to do a commercial with him. He has so many opportunities to make money outside of the game because of how popular he is and how good he is. That's how it should be. If you are good on the field, if you're good whatever sport you are, if you are good at what you do, companies should notice that and they should pay you to increase your brand and increase your presence in the media world as a player in the sport, right? That should be the goal. It shouldn't be schools just paying players millions after millions after millions, where you get someone like Ohio State where they've spent more money than anybody and won the national championship en route to, hey, pay to win, right? That's what a lot of people feared. There's no regulation with NIL, and there needs to be regulations where, like I said, they need to be making money externally, and then, okay, the school can pay their players an X amount, a set amount of money from there, right? And maybe you can add incentives if a player does well, or if the team goes like deep in the playoffs, or they win the national championship or something. All that stuff should be on the table, should be negotiated. It shouldn't be how it is now, where it's just the richest schools pay the most money to get the best players, right? So now that leads to another thing where I mentioned that Nico and a bunch of other players not only are making millions of dollars, but they're also on scholarship. That has to stop. If you are making millions of dollars off of NIL, you should not have a scholarship. I am sorry, you should not. That's a hot take, I know, because scholarships are meant for people that work really hard, right, and deserve it. All those players at the top of college football that are on scholarship deserve it because they've worked their butts off playing football and worked their butts off in the classroom to get to where they are. But also, why are you getting paid to go to school when you're making millions of dollars, when you got teammates that are having to work a job and be a student athlete just so they can make their dreams come true and just so they can barely pay for college and get by? Probably barely struggling to live, spending so much money on textbooks, on the dorm, not to mention if they're maybe living in an apartment with people, having to pay bills, pay groceries, right? They got no time to themselves or to survive, right? To live comfortably. That's not fair. That's not simply not fair. And I think if you make a situation where you can either choose to get a scholarship or choose NIL, right? If you get an NIL deal, you forfeit a scholarship because you have the money to pay through college. And, you know, if you're making millions of dollars, the best thing, if I was 18 years old and I received $1 million, the best two things I could do with that money is to put it in an account and save it, right? And let it grow interest and wealth over time, right? And use it as a form to build wealth. And also use that money to go towards your education. College education, you know, if you got that in-state tuition, even with $1 million, you can go to whatever college you want, pay for it, and have it be mostly okay, right? You can get through that. You can pay your way through college with millions of dollars. So why are you doing that? And then you're also getting paid to go to school. That's just not fair when you see so many other student athletes that are working their butts off that are barely surviving just to make their dreams come true, when the top players have everything just given to them, and then they're doing something like this where they're going behind their team's backs, giving up on their team because they want more money. Like, it's not fair. It doesn't make any sense. So no, if you're making millions of dollars, you don't deserve a scholarship. Give those scholarships to players that actually are working their butts off and need it to actually make their dreams come true, so they have a better chance at making their dreams come true, so it's more fair. Because college programs, they can only give out a certain amount of scholarships to people, right? There's only an X amount of scholarship they can give out. So if you got people at the top that are making millions of dollars, right? You invest in college programs, invest in programs within their school and within their athletics department to help teach these kids about building wealth and keeping that money so it's in their family for generations to come, right? Learning how to use that money wisely, right? And they use it to pay through college, get their education, and then scholarships can go to the people that may not be as privileged, that weren't the best in their high school. Maybe had to go on as a walk-on, right? People that have had to work their butts off more than the people at the top to get to where they are, make their dreams come true. And then now, guess what? You got people at the top that are making the money, that can pay for college. And then you got the people on the lower end that are working their butts off, earning themselves a scholarship. And then guess what? They get paid to go to school. And then the pressure to basically survive while trying to make your dreams come true, it's better for them. And guess what? It makes it more fair for them. So they also have a better chance of making their dreams come true, because they want to be professional athletes too. They want to make it big in the sports world, right? College football players, they want to make it to the league. Basketball players want to make it to the NBA, right? Baseball players, they want to get into the minors. They want to get into the MLB, right? So why should they have to work so much harder when there's players at the top giving everything to them, and even then they're still selfish? It's just not fair. It's not fair. There needs to be regulations on NIL. Situations like these are why so many people are believing that NIL is ruining college football. And right now, it is ruining college football. Until we get regulations on NIL and the NCAA, make some rules on who can make what money and what's going on, right? Because now you got a situation like the MLB where there's no regulations and the top teams stay at the top and the bottom teams always stay at the bottom because they got no money. So now, until the NCAA can make that regulation, then NIL is going to be something in college football that's going to constantly have a dark side. It's constantly going to be frowned upon. It's going to continuously cause issues like this until the NCAA takes action and sets them out and fixes this problem. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me. That's all I really have to say about it. Again, did not have a script for this. Just wanted to kind of give it my perspective on the situation from a Vols fan, right, and talk about it. But that will do it for me today. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you guys did, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe button. It's free. If it's free, it's for me. You know what I'm saying, right? It helps the channel out tremendously as I continue to grow and spread my football passion to more and more people on this platform. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think of this Nico situation? Do you think he was justified if there's a couple of people out there? Do you think that the Tennessee was right in letting him kick rocks? What do you think this means for college football and NIL in the future? So let me know all your thoughts there. And then lastly, or second to lastly, share the video on social media, whether it's by word of mouth or by social media or by word of mouth. And also make sure you follow me on social media on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X/Twitter, whichever word you want to use, as I'm getting ready to upload more and more videos there. And social media is going to take a more prevalent spot in the Shoemake Take. But that is going to do it for me today, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Until the next time, until then, I will see you all next time.